Hi, everybody. I'm Pratibha Agarwal. I am an immigration attorney. I'm based right outside of Washington, D.C. in Arlington, Virginia, and I come on live to answer your immigration questions. So go ahead and put them in, and I will be happy to answer them for you. We handle all types of immigration cases, going all the way from employers to investors. We just got an approval actually this morning, which is very exciting, on an investment-based visa. Really, really exciting, very challenging to get. It was a really complicated case. Hi, Jason. Nice to see you. We were really excited about that. I'm happy to share that with you here today. But what I was saying is that we do handle all types of immigration cases. We handle everything from humanitarian cases to investment-based green cards to H-1Bs. We're in the H-1B season now, so now is the time to ask H-1B related questions. We'd be happy to answer them for you. Okay, we would be happy to answer them for you. And we have some folks joining here that are already posting questions. It seems like you might have joined me before. Say hello if this is your first time. Tell me where you're from. I wanna give you a shout out. And also, if you want to call us for a consultation, you can do that at 703-348-1663. Again, that's 703-348-1663. I'm going to get to your questions, and while I'm talking, go ahead and put them in there, and I will get to them and answer them as best as I can. Again, anything immigration related. I only work with U.S. immigration law, but handle pretty much everything under U.S. immigration law. So that would be family-based sponsorship, humanitarian cases, including employment-based cases, employment-based green cards. So if something has come up and you have some complex issue that you want to see if you can get a quick answer to, I'd be happy to answer them for you here. But I want to start off, normally I start off with a question for the day. And that question today is, what is the difference between a VAWA-based green card and a marriage-based green card? So how is VAWA different from a marriage-based green card? Essentially, that's what I'm asking. That's what the question that's posed here, right? Again, how is VAWA different from a regular marriage-based green card? There are so many differences. And I will go over also what's the same. But one thing I want to tell you is that VAWA is based on abuse, and it's an application, it's a green card application that is done independently, that is done on your own without the help of your spouse, right? It's the same kind of thing. The end goal pretty much is the same. It's a green card. It's the exact same green card you would get if you applied for a marriage-based version. However, this one is done based on abuse. It's done on your own without the help of your spouse. Okay. It is 100% confidential, so your spouse is not involved. Your spouse is not consulted. Your spouse doesn't have to sign any documents. It's 100% confidential. In fact, if you call the USCIS number, they won't even tell you anything about your case. You have to constantly write to the Vermont Service Center, which handles these types of cases. Okay. The other important thing to note for VAWA cases is that there is no affidavit of support, which means there's no income requirement, nothing of that nature, right? So again, VAWA is based on abuse. There's no requirement for support. It's something that's done completely on your own without your spouse. So you can move forward with that green card application on your own without your spouse. It's 100% confidential. Your spouse is not involved. Your spouse is not harmed. All you have to do is tell the truth about the difficult nature of your marriage. Okay? Meaning to us. You will tell us, we help you prepare your application. All right, if you know anyone that's in the situation, please, first what I would say is have them like our page and follow our page on Facebook, on TikTok. We're at Agarwal Immigration on both Facebook and on TikTok. And call us if they want to talk more about their case. I'm happy to screen them, go over the process, go over the timing and everything that's involved. Okay, you can reach us at 703-348-1663. Again, that's 703-348-1663. I'm going to get to some questions here. Jasuri, hi Jasuri, nice to see you, says, can we have an asylum case with a VAWA? So yes, actually, we have many clients that have an asylum case pending, and they also have a VAWA application. So we are able to file a VAWA with an asylum case pending. Okay, so it's not something, it's not one or the other necessarily. Mansamus is saying, hello, what is the next step after your I-130 has been approved? Great. If you're wondering what an I-130 is, what's an I-130, right? It's the first step in a marriage-based green card. It's the first step in a marriage-based green card, and it's the same form, the same documents that are used if your spouse is in the US or if your spouse is abroad. So if your spouse is in the US, you can file the I-130 with the next part, which is the green card portion, usually at the same time. If you're a US citizen, you can file it at the same time if the person that you're sponsoring is in the US. All right, that's called adjustment of status. So usually after I-130 is filed, if you filed for adjustment of status, that means that the person who's being sponsored is here in the US. You would then have a fingerprinting appointment, and then after that, work authorization, travel authorization, and after that, an interview, a green card interview. Usually, for most cases, sometimes you don't have a green card interview. That's if the person that you're sponsoring is in the US. If the person that you're sponsoring is abroad, you have the I-130 approved, and the next step would be the case gets transferred over to what's called the National Visa Center. They're actually located in New Hampshire, but it's transferred over to the National Visa Center. They have the person that is being sponsored, the person that's abroad, fill out an application online. So they do that, and they also collect documents. So that's the next step. That can be a long process. It can be another good 6 months or so before that person is able to appear for an interview. So the whole thing usually takes a couple of years. And I had someone call me today who was so disappointed that it was taking so long. And unfortunately, all I could tell him was this is actually within normal processing times, right? Some of our clients come to us and they're way outside of normal processing times. This right here was within normal processing times. Okay, so call us for a consultation if you're unsure about your green card case. We handle green cards all the time, kind of all types of green cards, employment, family, humanitarian, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it. We're at 703-348-1663. Again, that's 703-348-1663. Tulsi says, I'm here for 9 years. I applied for an I-130. Great. Usually it takes about 9 months or so for it to be approved. Okay, Zoheb says, hi Zoheb, thank you for joining us. Romeo followed us. Great. So again, if you have immigration questions, if you think you're going to have immigration questions in the future, I think what I would say is make sure you follow us on Facebook and on TikTok. Like us on Facebook, follow us on TikTok. We're at Agarwal Immigration on both. Hi, how are you? Say hello if you are joining us for the first time. Tell me where you're from. Tell me where you're watching from. And if you have questions, go ahead and put them in here and I'll do my best to answer them. Okay, Mansima says, thank you so much for your explanation. Absolutely happy to help you. All right, so let's see. Okay. Moshara says, if someone came illegally and got married to a U.S. citizen, how to get the green card to go back home? Right. If someone came in illegally and are now married to a U.S. citizen, how can they get a green card without going back home? So there are two different ways. So one way is to apply for a waiver, a permission to leave the U.S., process your green card abroad, and come back in. There has to be a showing of extreme hardship to your U.S. citizen spouse in order to do that. Many people get scared that if they leave the U.S., maybe they won't be able to come back in. But that is an option for many people. For many people, that's the only option. There is another option if you're married to a U.S. citizen and you entered illegally, or a green card holder and you entered illegally. There is another option if you have trouble in your marriage. Basically, if you're being emotionally, verbally abused, if you're being controlled by your spouse, if your spouse is controlling, your spouse yells at you, your spouse is threatening deportation, and you entered illegally, you're married to a US citizen or a green card holder, and there are these types of problems in your marriage, you might qualify for what's called a VAWA self-petition, which means that even though you entered illegally, you can apply for a green card based on this circumstances within your marriage, right? This is done independently without your spouse, and you would get work authorization in about 6 to 8 months and a green card in about 2 to 2.5 years. Okay, so you can still, so it is possible to enter illegally, marry a US citizen, and still get a green card. It depends on the circumstances of your life, of your marriage, on how exactly you would get that green card. If I can help you with that, please call our office for a consultation. We're at 703-348-1663. Again, 703-348-1663. Awesome. And if you know other people that have immigration questions that want to hop on here and ask them and get some information, I'd be happy to answer those questions. Make sure you share this with your friends that might have immigration questions. Make sure you like us, follow us on Facebook, follow us on TikTok. We're at Agarwal Immigration on both TikTok and on Facebook. All right. Mosher says, hello. Zoheb said, what if a VAWA is denied, right? What if a VAWA is denied? Again, for those that are unfamiliar with VAWA, it is a green card for people that usually, for our most common type for this, is for people who are either married to a US citizen or a green card holder. That is our most common type of case, of VAWA type of case, right? Other people can also apply for a VAWA. For, let's say, you have a child who's 21 or over, you can apply for a VAWA. If you have a parent who's refusing to sponsor you for a green card, you might be able to apply for a VAWA as well. So our most common case type is a VAWA, where someone is married to a US citizen or a green card holder and they're out of status, and they want to apply for a green card on their own. They're having issues, problems in their marriage. They're being abused by their spouse, usually verbal abuse, emotional and psychological abuse, name calling, yelling, threats of deportation, and that type of kind of relationship circumstance in their marriage. Right? Sometimes they're still married to the spouse. Sometimes they've separated from the spouse. Sometimes they've even divorced from their spouse. So we help people kind of in all types of situations like that. That is what a VAWA application is. What happens when it's denied? So currently, VAWAs are not considered a deportation priority, right? So everyone's concern is if I apply and I get denied, what do I do? If I apply and I get denied and I'm illegally here in the US, now the government has my information. What do I do? That's a very good question. It's a very good question and something that I would be concerned about too if I were in that situation. However, VAWA applications alone, right now, if they're denied, they do not get put in removal proceedings. So actually, at this point, you kind of have nothing to lose. If you do qualify for VAWA, if you don't have status, if you're in an abusive relationship, you might be able to use that terrible circumstance to apply for a social security number, to get work authorization, to ultimately get a green card and become a US citizen. Think about how freeing that might be. Right? Think about how freeing that might be. And some people, many people in this situation are so scared. They're so scared to move forward. But at least do a consultation. Do one consultation. Talk about the process. Talk about the benefits. Talk about the timeline. Talk about whether or not you even qualify for something like this, right? And we can help you kind of work through that process and help you figure out those questions. All right. So being denied, it shouldn't be a deal breaker in some sense, right? Obviously, we want you to be approved. We absolutely want you to be approved. And if you don't have a strong case, of course, we will let you know at the consultation. But a denial alone is not something that would trigger removal at this point. Okay, call us for a consultation. We're at 703-348-1663. Again, 703-348-1663. PK. PK says, I got a prima facie determination 2 weeks ago for VAWA. How soon can I expect the EAD? That's a really great question. A prima facie determination, for those of you that do not know, is basically kind of like a pre-approval. I like to call it a pre-approval. So once you apply for VAWA, again, these are for victims of abuse that are applying for a green card on their own without their spouse. right? They're applying for a green card on their own without the help of their spouse. So usually once you apply, in about 2 to 3 months, you get this thing called a prima facie determination, which basically just means that you're kind of pre-approved. They looked at your application and they think that they're likely to approve it. They have you meet all of the basic requirements on its face. Your application on its face is approvable. That's basically what it means. And the next step after that is biometrics. So about 5 months after applying, you will get a biometrics appointment notice, which means you go, you give your fingerprints. It's usually about 20 minutes, and they do a quick background check. Usually it's not a problem for most of my clients. And then about a month after that, so about 6 months after applying, maybe about 3 months after the prima facie, you would get your work authorization. So they are a little bit delayed right now. But I'm hoping that they will catch up soon. So it might be a little bit later than 6 months or so, but I'm thinking between 8 and 10 months, you should definitely have your employment authorization. Okay. Give us a call if we can help you with your VAWA case. We love working on VAWA cases. We do them so much, and I love to talk to clients about them because really it's so freeing. It's so freeing for people to even just know that they have this option, to know that they can apply for a green card without the help of their spouse. Okay, call us for a consultation, 703-348-1663. Again, 703-348-1663. Viral Fever says, what documents do I need if I'm not living with my wife but want to submit a green card request? Right? So again, Viral Fever, you might be able to do it through VAWA depending on the nature of your relationship with your wife. You might be able to file based on abuse. Call us for a consultation. We can let you know. So what types of documents do you need? So one of the things that you do need to show with a VAWA application is that your marriage was real and not just for immigration purposes, right? You do have to show that your marriage was real and not just for immigration purposes. And the types of documents that you need may be different based on the person, because many times people who are abused and they're being controlled by their spouse, the spouse doesn't want to put them on the banking information. The spouse doesn't want to put them on the lease. So it's hard to show sometimes how that marriage is real when you don't appear on the same document. So sometimes what we do in a VAWA type case is we just show that you have the same address, right? So maybe you have a phone bill with an address, and you have your spouse's driver's license that you're able to get a picture of, or a copy of the lease, or friends and family that write letters about how they've been to your house, they've had meals at your house, they know for you to live together, things like that, to show that you have lived together. Photographs sometimes of text messages, even showing that you live together, showing that your marriage was real and not just for immigration purposes. So we can be a little bit creative because many times people in those types of situations do not necessarily have those documents to show that this is a real marriage, right? Not just for immigration purposes. So we do try to do our best to be creative and come up with whatever is possible to show immigration that this marriage was real, not just for immigration purposes, and that you did live together. Okay, I hope that answers your question. So basically, the short answer is it depends. It just depends on your relationship. It depends on your situation, and we can figure out what exactly works best and what documents you might have. But we are pretty creative when it comes to putting that together if you have very few, if any, documents. Okay. Rocky says, hi, hello. Mansama says, thank you so much for your explanation. Absolutely. Happy to help. Rocky says, how long does it take for a U visa? So a U visa, my friends, is for victims of crime. So if you've been a victim of a crime, or if you have information about a crime and you are willing to share that with the police, you're willing to help them in any kind of investigation. It could even be labor issues. If you're willing to help in an investigation, you might be able to qualify for what's called a U visa. A U visa can lead to a green card, which is what's very, very exciting. And it's a huge benefit for people that entered illegally, that are here without status. They can qualify, and all of that unlawful presence can get waived. Okay, so it does take a long time because there's only 10,000 U visas a year, right? There's only 10,000 U visas a year. And so many people are on a wait list. But if you file a U visa application, you can qualify for work authorization and a social security number. So if you or someone you know has been a victim of a crime, is reluctant to report it because they are out of status, they're here illegally, they might consider a U visa, they might consider reporting that crime, and then the police would certify that you were helpful in an investigation, and you can use that certification to get status in the US. Okay? Give us a call if we can help you. I'm at 703-348-1663. Again, 703-348-1663. We are conducting our consultations by phone, by Zoom, in person. COVID rates are going down. Gosh, at the State of the Union, the president, no mask last night. So we are kind of opening back up and getting back to normal. We're in Arlington, Virginia, but if you would like to talk by phone or by Zoom, if you're not in the Arlington area, I would still love to chat with you. Most of our consultations are held by phone or by Zoom, but give us a call. I would love to chat with you and talk to you about your immigration case, okay? All right, oops. Let's see. Moshara says, thanks for your information. You're welcome. Rocky says, I'm from California. Great. So nice to see you. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't, let's see, sorry. If you haven't followed us on Facebook or on TikTok, make sure you do at Agarwal Immigration. And of course, share this with other people that might have immigration questions. Okay. Someone is asking, can I travel with travel documents through VAWA while my case is pending? Most of our clients actually do travel. I advise them to wait until after they get their green card, but we do have travel authorization, which we get usually around 6 months or so once we file a VAWA application, and you can travel. You can travel. I do advise, full disclosure, I do advise wait till you get a green card. I don't want there to be any problems at the border, especially if you've entered illegally, or if you've have not had status for a really long time. We've had clients travel and they've entered with no problem. First, they have to get travel authorization, but then when they travel, it's been okay. So maybe I'm getting a little bit more lax about that, but I generally caution people in doing that in the first place. Okay. What age can an asylum pending person marry a U.S. citizen? It just depends on the state, right? So marriage laws are by state. So they're not a federal law. So usually about 18 or so, I think you can get married. I'm not sure, but as long as it's legal in the state that you're in, you can get married. Look it up, whatever state you're in. Fudu says, do minor children get a work permit? That's a really good question. So if you're applying for a green card, we do apply for work authorization because of the social security number, right? So we want to get that social security number for minor children, and we definitely would be able to help get that. Obviously you would really don't not want minor children to work necessarily. It doesn't necessarily give them work authorization, but it's an ID for them. It is a social security number for them. It gives them an immigration number too. So that is helpful. Okay. All right. GT Boy says, my brother is waiting for interviews for over a year now. He says, my brother is waiting for interviews for over a year now. My work permit hasn't come for my minor. Oh, sorry, this is a different question. Interviews does take a long time. So if you're applying for a green card, I would say you're looking at about 1.5 to 2 years, right? If you're applying for a green card, it's going to be a long time. So sometimes they're faster, sometimes they're not. But it is going to take, I want you to even budget 2 years because it is going to take a long time. If you want to call us for a consultation on a green card, I would definitely do that. 703-348-1663. We can go through the whole timeline, the whole process, all the requirements. It can answer all of your questions, and I would love to do that. Okay. Cora says, I'm from California. I'm on an asylum EAD. How can I renew my Indian passport? So there is a separate school of thought on this, right? If you're seeking asylum, the advice is to not renew your passport, right? If you're seeking asylum, some lawyers advise for you to not renew your passport from your home country because you're saying that I'm scared to return to my home country. So why would you need a passport? Is the school of thought. I don't know that I necessarily agree, but if you want to avoid all problems, I would just not renew your passport until your asylum is approved. All right. Again, where everyone's asking, how long does it take for a green card interview? It's been 6 months. Again, we're looking at about 2 years, right? We're looking at about 2 years. Jerry says, do you recommend travel with an advanced parole VAWA combo card? So we just talked about it a little bit ago. I usually say wait till you have your green card. I'm very conservative. Everything I do here is very, very conservative. I do not like to take risks if I can avoid it. So I would say wait till you get your green card, but many of our clients have traveled on this. So feel free to do it. If you're in removal proceedings, just don't do it. Really don't do it. But some people, even in that situation, have traveled. Call us for a consultation if we can help you with your VAWA case. We're at 703-348-1663. Great. Fidu says, thank you. You're welcome. Cora says, thanks. You're welcome. We have some questions here on Facebook. I'm so sorry I'm neglecting you here. Naila says, I have my friend and her husband is something about a K3 visa, and she was supposed to come to the USA. She was married to him November 30th. He's a citizen and he's back in her country, and he is a liar and says he filed for her, but he didn't do anything. That is a challenging situation. I mean, unless they reconcile, there's probably no other way for her to come to the U.S. unless she's able to, come as a student, not anything marriage related, right? She can maybe come if they divorce. She can come on a different visa. But based on this kind of abuse from her husband, this kind of lies and cheating, if she's never been in the U.S., it's hard to apply for a green card on her own. I don't see a basis based on what I'm seeing here. But if you want to discuss more, maybe explore some other options, I'd be happy to talk about that. That you can reach me at 703-348-1663. Again, 703-348-1663. All right, guys, I think we've gotten through all the questions for today. It was wonderful to see everybody. Make sure if you don't already like our page, make sure you like our page, share our video with your friends, invite friends to follow us on Facebook, like us on Facebook, follow us on TikTok. We're at Agarwal Immigration on both platforms. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.